Ekakawairu, Uyapararo Kanaga Fija, Ohanayo Waterina, Umujade Ode, Nigate Kaya Matika Nevatia, Ekakao Moto, Ekakao Motumbi, Losite Sanake. Shalom, shalom. That was actually my song number 1, Ekakaundo. It's here on YouTube. If you have never listened or watched that song, I kindly invite you to watch it. It's here, Ekakaundo, song number 1 by Joyce, aka Daughter of Zion. You are welcome to watch, to listen. Well, there, subscribe if you have not subscribed, like the song, comment, share if you are in a possession, and God bless you so much. Shalom, shalom, my viewer and my listener, and welcome to today's video. Thank you so much for to you, my subscriber. May God richly bless you. Those who have not subscribed, I kindly invite you and request you, it's a kind request, to subscribe, and God bless you. So, I hope and trust that you are well. Personally, I'm also well. I thank God, our Maker, so much for this opportunity that He has given unto me to come and we continue to run together. So today, this is part 7. Yeah, this is part 7 about looking about the Sabbath, and today I want to do my parting shot about the Sabbath as I close that series. And let me say that this, whatever I have said, whatever I did, part 1 to part 6, and now this is part 7, it's not complete. Yeah, because you cannot exhaust everything about the Sabbath. There is quite a lot to learn about the Sabbath. So whatever I did is what I was able to do, what my Maker enabled me to do. You can still continue running and running more, because we cannot exhaust everything about the Sabbath. So, my viewer and my listener, it is my parting shot, and this is what I would like to say. Yeah, that one, it is God, our Creator, who started the Sabbath. After doing the work of creation for 6 days, He rested on the 7th day. He blessed and sanctified it to be a holy Sabbath of rest. So, Sabbath was instituted by God, not the prophet, not anybody, but God. And that Sabbath means rest, not going to church. Yeah, because God rested, and He requires us to do as He did, to rest as He rested. So the other thing that I would want to say is that we are commanded to keep the Sabbath day, not the Sabbath hours. So those people, like, I know of somebody who told me that he decided that he will be working from Monday to Saturday, and he'll keep Sunday as his Sabbath. And what I know about him is that he wakes up, prepares breakfast, uh, he can even iron, can do any work, and goes to church, maybe from 10 to 1 or 2. If there is anything that, some work that he can do, he does. Yeah, he engages um, in normal work. Let me just say normal work. It's not restricted. He can buy. Yeah. So honestly speaking, that is not keeping the Sabbath, because he has gone to church for a few hours, and we are commanded to keep the Sabbath day, not the Sabbath hours. Remember, my viewer and my listener, we looked, I don't know it was part what, about the do's and the don'ts during the Sabbath. If you have not watched, you can scroll down and you'll find the do's and don'ts of the Sabbath. So, my viewer and my listener, maybe you are listening or you are watching, and on the day you call a Sabbath, you do all this manner of work, you don't rest, you go to church for a few hours, yeah? That is not keeping the Sabbath. That is not keeping the Sabbath, because what God commanded us is to keep the Sabbath, and we saw in this video, I think that was part 1, when the day starts, when the Sabbath ought to start and when the Sabbath ought to end. You can watch part 1 of this series and you will find that. So it is Sabbath day, not Sabbath hours. Yes. Another thing that I would like to say is that Sabbath is a sign between us and God, so that we can know that God is our God. It is a Sabbath. And we read scriptures which tells us that Sabbath is a sign. They are still here. Yeah? That one is the part that I did, the importance of keeping the Sabbath. It is still here. If you have not watched, you can still watch, so that you can see or know or learn the importance of keeping the Sabbath. Again, Sabbath is the only commandment that God Himself kept. Sabbath is, there are many commandments, but God Himself, the creator of heaven and earth, kept the commandment about the Sabbath, because He was the number one, He was the first person to rest on a Sabbath after working or creating the heaven and earth for 6 days. On the 7th day, He rested. So, Sabbath is the only commandment that God Himself kept. Another thing that I would like to say is that Sabbath is for generations and generations, meaning it will never end, it will not cease. So, Sabbath is here to stay, generations to generations. Yes. So, and now, if Sabbath is for generations and generations. Do you think there is any place that people are, where we are going? We will still continue being here. Yeah, we'll still continue to stay here, observing the Sabbath. Another thing, my viewer and my listener, and this is important to note, is that Sabbath is also kept today in heaven. And we read that one in the book of Jubilees, that even today, Sabbath is kept in heaven. So if Sabbath is kept in heaven, why should we not keep it here on earth? And Sabbath was made for us. It is a blessing, not a burden. To all who belong to Yahuwah, Sabbath is a blessing. It is not a burden. Keeping the Sabbath is a blessing to us, not a burden. No. Again, observing the Sabbath is not a request. It's not a request or a suggestion. Neither is it a proposal, but it is a command. So we are not being requested to keep the Sabbath. We are not being requested. Yeah? It is not a suggestion. It is not a proposal, but we are being commanded to keep the Sabbath. Now, we read Psalms 89 verses 34, that God will never alter anything that has gone out of his lips. He will not. So he's saying, we remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, and he did not change that. He cannot alter that. And he has not changed even today. He did not change it, he has not changed it, and he will never change it. He will never change anything that has gone out of his lips. Why? Because before it comes out of his lips, he has tried it 7 times. And given that, seeing that he cannot alter anything that he has gone out of his lips, he did not said anyone to say otherwise. He did not. Therefore, my viewer and my listener, remember, this is my parting thought about the Sabbath. We have been given free will. We choose what we want. And for that, I will read Deuteronomy. I will read 3 scriptures as I end, because we have been given the free will to choose what we want, whether we want good or bad, death or life, or truth or falsehood. It is God has given us that free will. So let me read Deuteronomy chapter 11, verses 26 to 28. See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey the commands of the Lord your God that I am giving you today. the curse if you disobey the commands of the Lord your God and turn from the way that I command you today by following other gods which you have not known. So, God has set before us blessings and cursings. And blessings if we obey his commands. And among his commands is the command of keeping the Sabbath. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 15 and 16 says, See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction. For I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commands, decrees and laws. Then you will live and increase, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land that you are going to enter. We have been commanded today to love the Lord. And how do we love the Lord? How do we love the Lord? It's set by being committed in the so-called the work of God, supporting the so-called the work of God, going to church very early in the morning, singing in the choir. Is that how we love God? No, my viewer and my listener. We love God. 1 John 5:3. To love God is to obey his commandments. And his commands are not burdensome. So, I set before you life and prosperity, death and destruction. For I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, to keep his commands, decrees, and laws. And I have said that among his commands is the fourth commandment, which says that remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. I finish by reading John 15 verses 22. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would not be guilty of sin. Now, however, they have no excuse for their sins. My viewer and my listener, I have spoken about the Sabbath, part 1 to part 6. I have spoken. So, if you have heard, if you have listened, then you have no excuse. If you don't keep the Sabbath, you have no excuse for your sins, because sin is lawlessness. Sin is failure to keep the laws of our Maker. And among his laws, I continue to repeat, is the fourth commandment, which says that remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So if you have heard and you don't, John 15 verses 22, you have no excuse for your sins. Otherwise, shalom, shalom, my viewer and my listener. Let me end it there. We meet again in another video as my Maker will enable me. So shalom, shalom. Let me kindly request you to subscribe if you have not subscribed. Finya tu hiyo yenye imeandikwa subscribe. Acha uone imemaliza na letter D. Imemaliza kusema subscribed. Hapo ndipo sasa utakuwa umenisaidia, na Mungu akubariki. Kuwa na wakati mwema mpaka atakapojalia tukutane tena. Bwana awabariki. Wakati mwema. Shalom, shalom. God bless you so much.